Welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen. It's really two programs in one. This is a series that appeals to your creative side. Food that is sumptuous stuff. How could that be? This is a program about people who want to eat healthy and reduce calories. Actually, it's about food with an aromatic quality that fills the nose. Oh, sure, but it's also about keeping my arteries clean by reducing fat. But it doesn't mean a thing if the food isn't rich and colorful. Maximize the flavor. Okay, but I must have healthy food that I can cook in minutes. I must minimize the risk. So welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen, where we get our heads together just for you. Well, welcome back once again. And if you've only tuned in for the first time, welcome anyway. Look, tell you what we do on this program is we look at a basic method of cooking, this time how to broil fish, and achieve a remarkable presentation in some way. And this is truly remarkable because this is something that I experienced in a restaurant in Toronto, some years ago now, and it was so neat that I thought I can hardly wait to get home and have a look at it. What they did, they had this broiled fish, and it's a little hard to be able to show you what broiled fish looks like, but the skin was kind of crispy, and over the top of it they had one of those sun-dried tomato things. But I thought to myself, I just recently had a glaze with some lime marmalade over the top of it. It was kind of sweet, but it had a sour tinge to it, and it was wonderful. So I thought that would be neat. And then this was all put over whipped potatoes underneath there and greens all the way around, tossed in a great vinaigrette. And I thought, boy, talk about textures. The textures in that were remarkable. So came back home and had a go at it. Interested? Come along, I'll show you how it's done. Well, first of all, just the whipped potatoes. Let's have a look at that too. A whipped potato that just doesn't sort of fight back. I know butter and whipped potatoes are wonderful, but just have a look at this. Russet potato, first of all, there are waxy potatoes and there are dry and fluffy potatoes. And this doesn't look dry and fluffy, but it will be by the time it's cooked. You can bake that. We need enough potato, by the way, if you weigh that, that's about 10 ounces. You need a couple of those to be able to do this dish. You can bake it and then dig it out and do that. Or you can just chop them up as normal as you would do in potatoes, and then cook them for about 15-20 minutes. And after 15 or 20 minutes, you then put them in, strain the water off them, and then put them back in the pot and put a towel over the top, just an ordinary terry towel, like this clean one. Just drop it down over the top at very low heat and just let them steam. Now, when it does that, you'll see that it picks up in a marvelously, it's almost as if it's been snowing on top of them. They're so dry, instead of being waterlogged. Waterlogged, they don't make good mashed potatoes. Now, this is called a ricer, and it's just got a number of little holes in here, and so you press it through. If you want good whipped potatoes rather than bits of lumps on them, then this is a good way of doing it. All right, good. Now, a little bit of seasoning here. About 1/8 of a teaspoonful of black pepper. Now, it can be white pepper, but, this is becoming all the rage nowadays, this black pepper. You know what the difference is. It's really just, white pepper is really black pepper with the overcoat taken off, and it's just a little less spicy, I suppose, although it can be hotter. This 1/8 teaspoonful of salt, and big thing, but just between you and me, if you really like salt and you're finding it very hard, a 1/8, just boost it up a little bit, just a little bit at a time until you get it right for your taste. There's no point in going through agony and not liking it. A little bit of nutmeg, always in whipped potatoes. Rather large amount of nutmeg. If you've got a taste for whipped potatoes and a taste for the butter that normally goes with it, just try a little dab of nutmeg on top. It's really good. 2% milk, and I can smell that nutmeg now, and it's just a wonderful addition. Just pop that in, and just slosh a little bit in at a time. You may not need the full cup, but there is a full cup in the recipe. But in this case, I'm going to put this into a piping bag to be able to make it look kind of decorative. But if you don't want to do that and just leave it, add just a bit more milk and put it into a double boiler, and you can spoon it on top of the greens rather than have to pipe it. But I want to show you how to do it. So almost up to that level. Whip it in, and now, it's just every now and again you can do something which has got a little bit of style to it, and you want to show, not show off, just say to somebody that you're cooking for, hey, I love you, care about you, want you to know that I do, and here's just one simple way of showing it. And so instead of just sloshing it on top of the greens, you put it into a piping bag, and at the end of the piping bag there is a little nozzle, just one of those. Do you know why I'm fiddling with this? Because I got a letter from, if you're watching at the moment, from you, and you said, please clean your bowls. So I'm spending so much time doing this. There you are, darling, just for you. All right. So always turn, if you've got a piping bag, turn it over like this, and then you can actually knit the top together, like so. Right? So, and it isn't all covered in gunk. That's a good tip if you're using any kind of piping bag. Turn it over, and then just to heat it up and get it ready for piping so that it's hot potatoes, put it on the top of a double boiler, put the lid on, and you're away. Okay. All right, now let's have a look at the salads for this one. I've got this salad basket here, romaine, an ornamental curly kale. I've got escarole in here. This is a neat, very interesting, mealy kind of cabbagey thing. Radicchio, isn't that lovely? And that's hot and bitter and just great taste. I've got butter lettuce at the back here and red butter lettuce in front. And what else we got? Arugula. Very good. This is a tremendous thing. If you can get arugula, get that one. You really need it in this dish. And tucked in here is French sorrel. I love it. It's just a salad all on its own. As a matter of fact, it's got a marvelous lemony taste to it. Just terrific. So get a mixture of those. And don't get upset about it if you can't get all of them. Just get a mixture of them. Wash them out well and truly. Measure about this quantity. Just what can be actually pushed hard into a cup measure. All right? And let that be like four. And I just took pieces and just tore it up, and it's just enough. That's just about right. Now, here is a little fresh dill, the dill weed, and also some parsley. Now, you've got about a tablespoonful of each. Don't overdo the herbing of it if you're not used to it, but then there's lemon balm and mints and all kinds of things you can put in. So just toss that into the top. Now, this is all in one of these salad spinners for the very reason is if the salad, whenever you make salad, if it's wet and it gets in the way of the dressing, it's just awful. So just 2 or 3 little whizzes in there, centrifuge all the liquid off, and there's just a little bit that comes off there because it was pretty dry just as it was sitting under the lights. But there it is, ready for the next stage in just a moment or two. Okay, over here. Now this is really odd. This is, and you know me by now, I don't really show you ingredients unless pre-made ingredients, unless they're really unusual. This is a 50-year-old recipe. And it's called Rose's Lime Juice. They get the limes from the West Indies, and it's been going and going and going. And I really strongly recommend it to you. If you haven't tried it as a marmalade, you really need to try it. But this as a glaze is a knockout. So 2 tablespoons, and then 1/4 cup of a de-alkalized wine in my case, but a Chardonnay would be good. And pop that in. Now, about a tablespoonful of the radicchio. That's this leaf here, this red, slightly bitter leaf. And that's going to stain that pink. But it just needs to be able to, I don't want it to boil, but I want it to simmer away and for the things to get mingled together. All right. Fish, halibut. And for this, I've gone for 6-ounce pieces of halibut. There's 1 teaspoonful of oil on the plate there, and a little white pepper. I don't mind whether it's white or black, really, but white pepper in case, because the snow whiteness of the fish is just so remarkable. And a little bit of salt on there as well. This is just the basic seasoning for it. Then, take a broiler, okay, and just grease the bottom of the broiler very lightly. And then take these. See the skin left on for a very good reason, which I'll show you in a moment. Just drop it backwards and forwards onto there, particularly the underside. You see this is a dark skin side, white skin. If you prefer the dark skin, just have whichever side you like. But you know what I'm trying to do is to say this is like a flounder. It's like a huge fish, this halibut, and part of it lies looking up, and that's the dark one, and the others, you know, the light side is the underside. Okay, so there it is. All on the top, skin on, for a super reason, which you're going to see in just a moment. All right? Now, this goes into a broiler and takes about 6 minutes. Now, this is an unusual broiler. Normally, with a broiler, you always leave the door open so the air can get in, so if there's any flare-ups, you know, it doesn't get in a problem. But in this case, you drop that too, because it's a convection broiler, and this is whipping up a tremendous speed of air over the top, which gives a marvelous crisp browning like that. That takes 6 minutes. Now, the reason for the skin being kept on. I went out and actually got one of the world's experts on this subject, and listen to what he has to say. This guy is as good as it gets anywhere in the whole world as far as fish is concerned. Okay, let's go over to the wharf. All right, thanks, Graham. About the last thing you'd expect from me about this time would be a skin flick, but that's exactly what this part's all about. John Rowley, international consultant, and to everybody in terms of seafood. Please tell us about skin. Should you cook skin with the fish or not?
Fish with the skin? Absolutely. Absolutely. What you've got in right under the skin are the fats and oils that give flavor, put flavor in, more flavor into the fish.
That's especially prevalent there, isn't it?
And as long as the fish is very fresh, these oils are going to have a positive flavor. If the fish gets older, these oils are very volatile, and then you'll have a stronger fishy taste. So this will give a lot of nice flavor and mouthfeel to the fish if the fish is very fresh.
All right.
Absolutely.
Now, let's have a look at some of them and give us some pointers on them.
Well, what we have here is sturgeon, and the skin looks very tough and leathery, which it is until it's cooked, and then it's very soft and gelatinous. These are called buttons. This is actually part of the exoskeleton of the sturgeon, and normally when this comes to the market, these buttons are taken off, so you wouldn't have to deal with them. A rainbow trout, cooked skin on with the scales, as you can with salmon. The scales cook up, and you can actually be nice and crispy and nice. Halibut, you don't have to deal with scales. Same with swordfish. This looks very leathery as well. When it cooks up, it gets soft. Some fish you can cook with the skin on, but you will need to take the scales off. Like this is a yellow eye rockfish, and the red snapper and grouper are the same thing. But you see how those scales are huge, aren't they? You can't, and they're very unpleasant in the mouth. So you'd want to scale this, and I use a curry comb that I used for horses. It has these concentric circles in there, and it rides the contour of the fish when
that's a nice idea.
When you're scaling.
We'll have to have the Rowley descaler. Something like that.
These fish,
how do you stop them from flying all over the kitchen, though?
Well, you want to scale them in a place where you could put lots of newspapers down and then just bundle them all up.
Try my little technique, fill the sink up and do it underwater. Just once.
How does that work?
It works very well. They don't fly anywhere. They just go into the water.
I'll have to try that.
Great. Well, so we're all into skin. Keep the skin on if it's fresh.
Absolutely.
And make sure the scales are off unless they're tiny ones. Okay, Graham, back to you. Let's see what it tastes like. Thank you. Okay. Now, John is a terrific guy. You need to listen to what he has to say. Okay, let's have a look at the salad dressing. This salad dressing is a knockout with this dish. Just simply bruise the garlic just to make sure that it actually disperses, because sometimes I've made a blender dressing and then when I pour it all out, there's still that lump of garlic still there. All right, a half teaspoonful of dried mustard powder, all right? And a quarter teaspoonful of, out of the old Creole torpedo, just a quarter teaspoonful of cayenne pepper, just about to give it a bit of bite. There's bite from both of them, but they're different. And then a couple of tablespoons full of sugar, of brown sugar, and I'll explain the reason why. It's really basically because this is quite an acid combination. I've got 1/2 of a fresh lime in there already, and this is a question of just screwing out the other part of the lime to get completely exhausted, and then the juice of one whole lime goes into that. Now that's to match up with the lime that's in the glaze as well. Then some Japanese style, and you can get this in any supermarket, all right? It's all over the place now. Japanese rice wine vinegar, 2, 3, 5. I want to show you, this is so elegant. It's just the most wonderful flavor. And then a couple of tablespoons full of oil. It has to go in eventually, just to be able to balance this thing perfectly. A couple of tablespoonfuls. All right. That's it. And then just put the lid on the top with that garlic, just to be able to run it enough so as to be able to emulsify that together. Doesn't take a moment. Get this out. Let me have a look and see how this is going. Oh, wonderful. And you're ready with the salad. This is all ready. Everything's going nicely. I'll get to that in just a second. All right. Now, then stop this and pour the dressing over the top of the salads there. Now, a really neat thing is going to take place here, because you see, normally with a dressing like this, there is a lot of dressing on it. And whenever I eat out, I know there's a lot of dressing there. So in this case, you see what's happening? I'm actually spinning off the excess dressing. And what happens here is I'm actually cutting back the fat content that's actually on the dressing itself. The dressing is all over the salad greens, and I've got that much over. I have taken off from 91 calories that would be, with about 7 grams of fat. I've got that down to 18 calories, okay, and just over a gram of fat. So that's really good stuff, good news. All right, let's have a look and see about the fish. Good, right on the nail. Just perfect. So the skin is just beginning to blossom. Look at that. See how the skin blossoms there? And over here, this glaze, do you remember how it just mingled together? Well, I'm just going to strain that, and you see it's pretty tired stuff, this now, but that's out of the way. And then take just a little wine, slosh it on the top, and this has got arrowroot, just 1 teaspoonful of arrowroot, and just drop that into the bottom and stir that around, and in a moment or two that will thicken up to the extent that I want it thickened up. Just bring the heat underneath it. All right, take hold of the salad greens, drop those onto the plate that you want to serve it on. Okay. Take hold of the potatoes now. If it's a little hot, wrap a towel around it, but make it look attractive, like this, a nice bed of the potatoes. Ouch! And then scoop up the piece of fish, which has got that lovely skin just on the top there, and lay that on the top. Look at it. Look, and it's so tender and white and beautiful. Then take this little glaze that's on here, just simply put a little sprinkling of fresh radicchio on the top, which gives you some color, and then pour this on top. Just about, and you see it's got a lovely pink color to it there. So just pour that pink glaze over the top. It's incredible, that combination of ingredients. Come through and have a look at it. Now, it's a beautiful looking glaze, and it's such an unusual dish. I'm going to compare it to, I don't know quite how to describe it. It's sort of mayonnaise-y cold seafood salad with potatoes that we came across as a classic. And this is what we tried to do, and I think we succeeded in doing that. Let's have a look at the numbers. This is 387 calories, our dish, and the fat, which has been 61, is now down to just 6 grams of fat, carbohydrate at 44. It gives me 15% of calories from fat, which is really good stuff. Only 95 in cholesterol, and the sodium's at 722, largely because of the salt in the potatoes, without which, you know, it gets to be really bad news. I mean, I like to have just that little bit of salt. Now, let's have a go. Here, we're going to have a little piece of that skin, and I want you to experiment, be able to eat the skin. Look at the way that's cooked. It is snow white. Oh gosh, the textures and the taste, it's slightly sweet. Then you get to the lime vinaigrette underneath, and it's really quite tangy. And it's crisp and it's smooth. Texture is all over the place. It's one of the nicest ways that I think you'll ever enjoy a piece of fish, really. Don't forget, as always, springboard, if you don't like some of those greens, change them around according to the way that you like to have it, and your loved ones, the ones that you like to serve. That's very important, okay? Okay, well, let's have a look at this. As I've been saying the word texture from the very start of this program, and you know, I'm looking for ways in which I can drain out salt, fat, and sugar, and large flesh protein portions, and at the same time, boost the aromas and colors and textures. Now, aroma's obvious, and color's really pretty obvious, but texture's not quite so obvious. Look at these. Here are 8 items of texture that I'd like to share with you. The first one is spice hot, and you think, well, that doesn't sound like a texture, sounds like a taste. Well, you feel it on your taste bud, but it's really hot. It's something like cayenne pepper, all right? So just think of cayenne and think of spice hot. That's very important texture. Then there's smooth. There's 3 smoothies. The smooth sweet, and my number one here is pear. I'm going to make a pear ice very shortly. Just a knockout of a thing. I love that smooth sweet taste. Banana's another one. Smooth dairy. Okay, you know me by now. Yogurt, I think, would be my strained yogurt thing. It gives you mouthfeel and the white color at the same time. Great stuff. Smooth starch. Well, there we go with arrowroot. Not necessarily, of course, with the yogurt, but you normally use cornstarch for that. But it builds up a lovely mouth round fullness that normally fat does, and so this does it instead of that. Grains, etc., that are soft. Well, you know, rice is an obvious one there. Capers, another one, which is a seed from a Mediterranean plant, which is salted, and they're nice. But now you get grains that are hard, you know. I think a pine nut is a lovely thing to add. It just meets the teeth beautifully. It's different. Crisp. How about celery? I think whenever I think of something crisp, I think of celery. Celery in a salad just goes off crunch, crunch in the back of your mind, you know, as you're actually consuming it. And there are some new things, some freeze-dried vegetables nowadays, and they're being done, like green beans. And I'll try and show you one shortly. And they're just marvelous color, and one chef has described these as firecrackers, so that when you're eating them, they go, you know, like firecracker, like 4th of July goes, then those go off in the same sort of way, different kind of feeling. And also jicama. If you haven't got it, Icama, a lovely, white, crisp, marvelous root that is. And chewy, apricots, dried fruit, and meats of other kinds, they give you the chewy texture. So think of that, just aroma, color, and texture like we had in the combination here. Really different. Well, tell you what, I don't think I've ever had textures in quite the same way that dish, and I'm feeling it in my mouth. The tanginess of that lime, and that soft smoothness of the whipped potatoes. Great stuff. Until next time, God bless you. Thanks for being here.